Succession, season 3, wrapping up last night. Uh, man, so I wasn't able to watch it last night because I was at the show,
Right.
and I stayed off Twitter. And this
Wise.
morning I woke up super early because I just had it on the brain. I was like, I have to go see what happened on Succession, and I watched it at like 6:30 in the morning, and I just like sat on my couch for like a half hour afterwards. Like, holy shit, this season of television was so awesome. I mean, we're like you mentioned, we're gonna be doing our best of the year, best TV of the year, end of the week. I have a feeling we'll be talking about this again very soon. Uh, but Dave, just like your overall reactions to season 3 of Succession.
Oh yeah. I mean, loved it. Best show on TV. Spoilers for the list.
Yeah,
Great season. The end of the season is dynamite, and the finale is some of the most riveting television I've ever watched, especially the second half of the finale.
mhm.
You go from this incredible scene between the three siblings, Roman, Shiv, and Kendall. Kendall confessing finally to the waiter he killed, the sin that's been hanging over him and haunting him for so long, confessing to that, and then in a sense rallying with his two siblings as a way to finally take down the dad they hate, or at least two of them hate, Logan, and yet it ends in the way only Succession could. I thought it was an absolutely incredible ending.
Yeah. Uh, the arc of the season was so fascinating, right? So season 2 wraps up with Kendall versus Logan. Kendall going public that Logan was aware of all the corruption, the assaults, and the sexual abuse going on under Waystar's watch, and basically setting it up where he's going to expose all of that and then make a play to take over the business. And pretty much like the season was just Logan beating Kendall down every step of the way. Nothing Kendall tried
Mm.
worked, and just seeing Kendall be ground to a pulp.
Yeah.
And so when you get that moment where Kendall and Roman and Siobhan are just sitting there talking, and Jeremy Strong is putting on a fucking clinic, dude. I'm blown into a million pieces. I'm so fucking lonely. Like, that right there would have been the highlight of most shows seasons. Like, that just would have been like even some shows that would have been like the apex moment of their whole run. And
Yeah.
then you just go into this incredible 20 minutes of just like, we're making a play, we're gonna do this. And that final showdown between Logan and his kids is just so fucking brutal. And this show just makes everything just comes together so perfectly. A line that Tom says at the end of, I think, the first episode. I'm gonna get what's the name, like Daryl Hedden on this or something like this. I want to speak to him about this. And then you hear, I don't remember if it was Carl or Frank go, don't worry about it. We have Daryl Hedden on this. And you just know, like, Tom is the Judas. Tom
Mm.
pulled it off. He finally did what he hasn't been able to do to Siobhan. And then you
Yeah.
see the Godfather shot, dude. It's just all so fucking good.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, to quote Tom's line to Kendall a few episodes back after they talk,
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Logan get fucked once. And like
Yeah.
he's like, I see you get fucked all the time, however he says it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the thing is, and what makes the show so great, and I think why Jesse Armstrong, the showrunner, the
Yeah.
main writer, Jesse Armstrong needs to be elevated to the top tier of TV creators. Obviously, that he doesn't have the volume of shows the way some of the elites do, but as far as one show creators, like he is definitely up there now. Armstrong knows that we don't like these people. They're all bad people. The show doesn't shy away from that. But at the end, you're still rooting for them and you feel like absolute dog shit when Logan wins again. And it's kind of crazy because in this season, in season 3, Roman has never been less likable. Shiv has
Yep.
never been less likable, right? Roman really just openly flirting with the darkest corners of the right political
World.
movement.
Mm-hmm.
Shiv really showing her true colors as a careerist and how she, tried to strong arm Jerry, and also
Hmm.
just the terrible wife and partner that she is to Tom, right? Like, and obviously we know how broken Kendall is, and the show makes it clear in this season how terrible he is to his family, just as kind of an absent dad, and how hypocritical he is as a performative, reformer in his attempts to take over the company, right? Like they've all been broken down and made irredeemable in a sense. But the finale still finds a way to bring everyone's rooting interest back on them once again. And then you have Tom's revenge. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, I was really left with that thought today, and I was like, why do I want these people to win? Like, I shouldn't feel bad for them right now. I shouldn't feel so gutted by them losing to Logan because I, when you think about it, the only two people on the show who are like central characters in any way that are not completely terrible people are Tom, who's kind of terrible by association,
Yeah. He's
and
like a
Greg.
just terrible rich person. Greg, kind of a little dim-witted,
Yeah.
opportunistic, now rich person.
And,
They're not as malevolent as the others, but they're not like great either.
and then you get this amazing back and forth between them. And, just shout out uh, McFadden and Braun, who just like
Yep.
their chemistry together is incredible and just always like the comedic highlight for me of every episode is usually their back and forth. But where, Tom says, like, are you willing to sell your soul to do this? And Greg's like, who needs a soul? Souls aren't fun anyway, or something like that, whatever he
Yeah.
says.
Boom. Soulless.
Yeah. Just
Amazing scene.
and just eh, like I think on a lot of shows, that sort of writing would have been taken as like, oh, that's really like too on the nose. But it just fits those characters so perfectly. And
Yeah.
it just explains everything about the situation so well. Just
Right.
incredible.
Right. And that's the thing. I think there's been some talk. I wouldn't even call it crazy. There's some talk that Succession season 3, especially in the first half, the plot was spinning a little bit. Right. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, maybe I kind of see what's going to happen here. Logan will not pick any of his kids to succeed him. Kendall will fail once again to beat his dad, and there won't be too much plot movement. And I guess in a macro sense, that is kind of true for the first half of the season. But the reason I don't think it holds much water is kind of what I said before: is the show is so involved in coloring in and deepening the characterization of our central cast here. Like I said about what's changed and progressed with Kendall, with Roman, with Shiv, with Tom due to his relationship with Shiv, and heck, even with Connor in this finale. Connor finally uh, letting loose. I'm the older son. You know,
Mhm.
Connor is largely there for comic relief and as a tear down as a part of the ensemble. But even him, they found a way to enrich even more. So I just feel like the arc of the season, the way the season ends, going into the finale, like everything just felt like of a piece, and it's been developed, it's been written to this point. Everything just makes complete sense. It's so great. Obviously, alongside that, you have amazing production values. They literally, yeah, they go to Tuscany for a
Yeah,
long period of time. They were in Tuscany a long time, man. It looks amazing.
incredible, dude.
With the wedding as a setting, like it's so good, and
Yeah,
the acting has never been better.
well, I definitely want to talk about the performances this season. Just to there's not a better looking show on television, and you just think about some of the shots from just this finale. We won't even talk about the rest of the season. We'll just kind of mention that shot of Roman going on the boat, like out to see Alexander Skarsgård's character. I forgot
Yes,
his name.
the Gojo founder.
Yes, amazing, amazing filming there. But then the picture we both have as our backgrounds, that scene where Jeremy Strong's Kendall is breaking down, and Roman is leaning over, holding his shoulders, and Shiv is touching his head, and then in the final scene, it's reversed where Roman's
Yeah.
on the floor, totally gutted, and Kendall's holding his shoulder or holding his shoulders. It's amazing that how that sort of thing happens. And I was
Mhm.
thinking about Succession season two's finale, which it might be one of the most beautifully shot television episodes of all time. And I was like, there's no way they could ever like top that. If anything even comes close, it'd be really impressive. And I think some of the shots in this episode and just in this whole season rivaled it, or at least come close. So just it's a total, masterpiece in my opinion from all perspectives. And you mentioned the performances. Who did you feel like was like the best performer this season on the show? Who gave
Yeah,
the
I'd say it's
MVP?
Kieran Culkin as Roman because I mean he's had his best material yet as Roman, right? Roman's been further colored in. His relationship with Logan, with his dad, is further developed. His own uh, psychological ups and downs, more further exposed. And I think Culkin, he's just such a master with Armstrong's writing, and he knows how. Like, it's funny to see his performance alongside Jeremy Strong's Kendall performance because they're so different, but they just both fit the show because again, the characters are so established at this point. And yeah, I think Culkin's incredible.
Yeah. Uh he definitely this is definitely the Roman season, and seeing his arc from kind of being like the third fiddle in the last couple seasons to basically being the number one boy this season, so to speak. And Logan, it feels like grooming him to be his right hand man, potentially the successor to the company. Uh, and then when it comes down to brass tacks and Logan's looking to sell the company, he just sends him away. And the way Culkin's character rose and fell this season, and some of the moments like after Kendall's birthday party episode at the end, when after Roman shoved him and Kendall falls and everybody leaves very upset, is almost like Joker like. The look on Roman's face walking home alone in the streets. And the way that the camera just kind of like walked with him, like close up on his face, just incredible. Or the dick pic episode, the penultimate episode,
Right.
and his facial expressions in that alone
Yeah.
are worth all the money for this season. And then you get that final scene and the look on his face as he's pleading to Jerry to just like help, and she turns him down because it's not in her self-interest. Just like a masterpiece of acting, and he was so impressive this season.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even the scene where Kendall breaks down, I thought he was really good in that too, where in his own Roman way, trying to comfort Kendall. Really good. Obviously, in the penultimate episode, you have the cliffhanger of sorts about Kendall. Did he pass out and drown in the pool? He doesn't. And I thought if that had happened, I think it would have worked because you had so much finality with his late night conversation with Logan, and like the say the relationship is made so clear. But then the way they bring him back into the fold and end up having him reconcile with his siblings around, just his own their own, fucked up love for each other, and then later their desire to, beat dad. I thought, it made perfect sense that he didn't die because they had so much more to do. And then you get again the confession scene, as you said, is just such a pinnacle moment.
Yeah. Tolkien, I think, deserves the Emmy for sure. But you know, everybody on this season, I felt like, was some of their best work. I think about uh, Sarah Snook as Siobhan,
Yeah.
and man, that the scene, the conversation between her and her mom in the penultimate episode, and then just like how that all plays out between her and Tom, you know, just is so impressive. I loved that the way that they shot the breakfast scene between her and Tom. The morning after they have the denigrating sex, and man, just the way it like walks around with them and is so tight on them, and you can just see like McFadden every single like emotional bone in his body just being snapped in half as Shiv is just obviously toying with him and keeping him on this leash. And pretty much the night before said everything that she's been wanting to say, that she doesn't really love him. She thinks that he's not good enough for her.
Doesn't want to have his babies.
Yep, absolutely brutal. Um, but I love Sarah Snook this season as well, and it's funny because I think Shiv as a character is just. I mean, Roman says it. She's the girl. She's not part of the boys' club, and for that reason, she gets kind of sidelined within some of the ventures of the business. But I think Siobhan plays such a central like middleman in a way. It felt like at any point she could teeter back to Kendall's side, and I felt like that was so
Mm,
important to kind of keep some of the wheels spinning when maybe it felt like the show wasn't going in as many places people
yeah,
wanted it to go.
right. And the thing, even like in the early goings, where the plot may not be have as much forward momentum as some people like, you still have an awesome one-off episode with Adrian Brody as
Yeah.
a large scale shareholder
Mhm.
in Waystar Royco. It's really awesome to see a different side of Brody than we've come to expect in, like, say, his frequent roles in Wes Anderson films. I thought he was great. I thought that moment was great, and the early goings where Logan's like mental fitness or physical fitness is a little more questionable, right? Where he's like piss mad and stuff. I really like how all that worked, but the Brody moment in the beginning, and then even Skarsgård in the end of the season, just great pieces of stunt casting.
Absolutely. No, I loved. I think his name is Matson, Skarsgård's character, or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
I really enjoyed his presence on the show, and Skarsgård's somebody that I feel like has really leaned into these like weird, like asshole parts recently. But hearing him talk in his like native accent, be this like really weird guy, and someone that Logan obviously sees as like kind of in the same ilk as himself, I thought was really interesting. And Skarsgård played it perfectly. Like he really felt very convincing, and almost like intimidating in his role as Matson. Um, we haven't talked a lot about uh, McFadden as Tom, but I felt like he almost had like the most thankless role, and then gets like the biggest payoff there at the end, obviously. But him and him for the first couple parts of the season is just sitting there as like the sacrificial lamb and dealing with his feelings about potentially going to jail, and then you know deciding how he wants to play that out, what he wants to do. And then it's about him wanting Shiv to love him, which is kind of like what he's wanting. He kind of wants family too. It seems. When Logan called him son, he called him Papa. When he's pissed mad. So like there are those moments, but uh, I just feel like him and Nicholas Braun kind of got sidelined a little bit at times this
Sure.
season. But not everybody can get the ball all the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you get the falling out between Braun and was it James Cromwell,
Hmm.
Logan's brother, and then alongside that, you kind of get Braun's like questionable foray into romantic pursuits with Comfrey and then the other person at the wedding. I did enjoy that. Like, I don't think there's any like wasted material on like the people that are on the outside. Even like Fisher Stevens just being a bigger part of the administration of the company. Like, he's just awesome in that, like, like communications role.
Yeah, I feel like the corruption of Greg is one of the most like or one of the least talked about aspects of this season, because Greg kind of teetering on the like, I guess I'll go with Kendall because it seems like Kendall's going to watch out for me. And then when Kendall's not watching out for him, he just kind of goes back and working in his own self interest. And by the end of the season, he's not only kind of, how do they describe it? Like jumping girlfriends or like jumping status in terms of girlfriend or something like that.
Yes, punching up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also just like looking at Tom and like, I don't want to have a soul. Like, fuck this. It's fun to be thrown in the air by Proud Boys because I want to sue Greenpeace, a organization that seems like it's doing a lot of good in this world. Uh, just a really like fascinating person to watch as he's gone from being, little Greg the Egg to someone that seems like he's kind of coming into his own a bit. I wonder if he'll get a little bit more to do next season or not.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. I mean, yeah, because like to that point, right? At one point, Logan's like, "We even got little Greggy," and it's like, and then Tom, I think in the finale, just blatantly said to his face, "Dude, you're a joke. You embarrass yourself in front of Congress.
Yeah.
Like, what else you gonna do if you're not gonna ride with me?"
Yeah.
And Greg, to his credit, so you know what, you're right. I got nothing else going on.
The bottom of the top. He was like, yes, like absolutely. Honestly, a great pitch by Tom there. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
amazing work.
Um, I'd say alongside that, we've had some nice press going on about this. There was a lot of work written about Nicholas Braun and his status in New York City as a more eligible bachelor and a figure of demois. Just this past week, we had the big New Yorker profile about Jeremy Strong getting into his method acting abilities and philosophy on acting and work and stuff. But and we had before the show started, there was a huge write up by Hunter Harris and Vulture about the Succession cast in Italy. Like it's awesome just to see so much rallying around the show, and it definitely seems to have gotten a bit more popular due to the longer than expected delay between seasons 2 and 3, and now just the anticipation for season 4 just unbearable. I have to imagine that it's going to be a little bit because they haven't started filming yet.
Yeah, I imagine we'll either get it late next year, maybe 2023. But um, well, is there anything that you want to see? I mean, it's kind of set up now where it's like the three siblings versus Logan and Tom, and I guess Greg. Obviously, the stuff between Shiv and Tom is going to be super interesting. She might just go
Yeah,
full scorched earth on
yeah.
him.
You see her face on the end, like she knows.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are you hoping to see? What do you think? What do you think
Yeah,
we'll see? Anything like that comes to mind?
I'd love to see the continuation of the unified front between the siblings. I
Yeah.
thought, I thought the lead up, when they're in the car driving
Hmm.
to see Logan, I thought that was so riveting, and like seeing them and like you're on the edge of your seat, being like, Roman, don't bitch out and go back to dad. Like stay with them, right? So I want to see that continue because it would change the dynamic of the show with Kendall no longer being in the only outsider. So I think there's plot wise, there's plenty of new directions to go down, even if the central conflict is more or less the same. Who's going to take over the company? Who's going to succeed Logan? And now that's again, it's kind of been flipped on its head because Logan's selling the
Yeah.
company, right? Something you probably never would have thought see coming when you watch most of the rest of the show. So I think season 4 has a ton of potential, and honestly, I'm sure Armstrong has had plenty of time to sit with this because he wrote season 3 so long ago, of course, due to the COVID
COVID.
delays affecting starting the production. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was one of my favorite scenes was just them going back and forth and like convincing Roman that this was like the only move that they really had. Um, and then when he's like, I think we would make a pretty good team, even though it's a little fucked up to say. Like, I I would just really like to see them, whatever their venture is going to be, starting their own company together, a rival company, how they're going to go about it. I hope Skarsgård is a continued mainstay within the cast just because I thought he was absolutely awesome. And um, I think I would like to see less of Caroline. She was great, and just so brutal and just so tough to like her.
Oh yeah,
Very hateable character. Um, but yeah, man, just I'm all in on the show. Whatever wherever they take us, I'm down for it at this point. So
yeah, yeah.
nothing not
And I think thinking about it the last few years, right? Like season 2 came out 2019, same year as Watchmen and Fleabag season 2. Season 3 comes out 2021. I mean, I feel like the 2021 crown. It's pretty undisputed this time. It's the best show.
I know I see all these like best of TV lists that have Succession like eighth. Like, no,
Just
sorry. Like,
shitty taste is what that is.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be talking a little bit more about Succession later on in the week.